I have ranked many things in Project Zomboid, from cars to traits to weapons and armor, but I haven't ranked anything since last year, so today, by your recommendation, I'm ranking all the scrap weapons. These all come from the scrap weapons mod, and you need metalworking plus lots of magazines to make most of these works, but some of them you don't need any skill actually. Now I'll be ranking them and comparing them to normal vanilla weapons. I'm gonna be comparing them between each other, and I'm gonna be ranking them on their coolness factor, not just usefulness as well. So let's jump straight in. First on the list we have a 2x4. This is a really straightforward weapon. All you need is a plank and you can make it out of a plank. It counts as short blunt. This is a one-handed weapon. It's gonna be really one of those early game weapons. You're not gonna do much damage with it, and it's just good because it's easy to make, and that's really everything there is. We're gonna put it down here in the D tier. Next we have the upgraded 2x4. There's I think like 6 versions of this. You can upgrade it with bolts, with cans, with nails, scissors, screwdrivers, or sharpened screwdriver, and some of these stay short blunt, some of these are then axe weapon. Still, they're all not very good. This is just a slight damage upgrade on the basic one. It's gonna be maybe useful if you have that item in your hand. You still don't need any magazine or skills to make this one, so it's just a bit of an upgrade to the overall not the best weapon, so this one also goes down here in the D tier. Now we go to weapons that actually need metalworking. This one needs level 1 and it's called a scrap club. Basically, you need some scrap metal and you need a hammer to make it, and level 1 metalworking. It's still not a very amazing weapon. It's a bit more sturdy, does a bit more damage, but in general it's not one of those that you're gonna be probably using too much. Stays a short blunt. We're gonna put it down here in the C tier. And then we have the Salvage club, which is basically upgrade on the scrap club, and this one is upgraded with a chain. You do need metalworking level 3, which to be honest isn't that hard to get, or if you start as a metalworker then you already start with level 3. And this one is a bit better weapon. It does a bit more damage. It's pretty decent for a short blunt weapon, so for that we can put it up here in the B tier. Next on the list we have a Salvage crowbar. Now this is short blunt. This is not long blunt, it's short blunt. It's one-handed use. Basically turns the basic crowbar into a one-handed weapon that you can actually attach to your belt. It's actually really good. It does a lot of damage, and most importantly it's really amazing for destroying any fortified doors. Like 3 or 4 hits is gonna destroy a fortified door with this one, so you can really get to some tough places that you otherwise might not be able to. It does take level 5 metalworking though, and you need quite a lot of materials. It's basically advanced crafting, but still it is a really cool weapon and it's actually pretty decent, so we're gonna put it up here in the A tier. Even though the damage isn't that great, just the ability to bust through stuff, it's awesome. Then we get to short blade weapons, and if you don't know my opinion on short blade, it's really not the best combat skill. That one that you probably shouldn't be using too much unless you're going for that high stamina build where you can just run around and stab stuff and just run and stab and run and stab and never run out of stamina. Sure, but otherwise still not the best skill. So let's go into that. First we have a glass shiv. Unfortunately, it's just a glass shiv. It's made out of bottle and some rags. It's gonna break after a couple of uses, so you're better off just using your hands and stomping on zombies. Other than that, so unfortunately we're gonna have to put this one into F tier. Now with metalworking level 1, you can actually make a scrap shiv that unfortunately is not much better than the glass shiv itself. It's gonna last you a bit longer, but really not much longer. It is better if you actually use it to upgrade a spear, and I'm gonna talk about that later on a bit more, but still, just in itself is still an F tier weapon, unfortunately. Then we have a Salvage shiv. Now this one has an actual really cool thing. You can switch between 2 modes. You can switch between stabbing and slashing, so you can use it as a stabbing weapon or like a cleaver in base game as a slashing weapon. So you can actually switch between these two, and that makes it much more useful. It's also gonna last you a bit longer. It does take level 2 metalworking to actually make it, but it's still, for a short blade, it's a very decent weapon. I'm gonna put it out here in the C tier. And the last of the short blade ones weapons, we have a sharpened screwdriver. You basically just need a basic screwdriver plus a file and level 1 metalworking, and you can just sharpen it. It's just a bit of an upgrade on the basic one when it comes to damage. So really not the best weapon. It's better if you use the screwdrivers for whatever else, you know, leveling up your electronic skills. You can attach this one to a spear again, and that will make it a bit more useful. But otherwise, just as a weapon itself, it is really not that good, so F tier, unfortunately. Then we have a scrap machete. Now, unlike the vanilla machete, this one actually goes on your belt. It does quite a lot less damage than the basic vanilla one, but it's also lighter, so you'll be able to swing it for longer if you want that. And it's very simple to make. You just need level 1 metalworking. You do need quite a lot of items, but not any items that are really hard to get. It does have one great bonus as well, that if you attach this one to a spear, it's gonna do a lot of damage, and I'm gonna talk about that a bit later. But still, just for that, it boosts its value quite a lot, and I'm gonna actually put this one up here in the A tier. Now with level 4 metalworking, you can actually make salvage machete. Now this one, the salvage parts, just like with the salvage shiv, you can't actually attach them to spear, just the scrap ones. But still, by itself, this one is actually pretty good. It can attach to a belt. It does quite a decent amount of damage. Unfortunately, lower amount than the base game machete, but you know, you can make it yourself. You need level 4 in metalworking, but otherwise, you know, it's not really much more complicated to make than the scrap one. So just as a weapon itself, I think it's pretty great, and I'm gonna also put it up here in the A tier. Next on the list, we have the Salvage nightstick, which is basically the coolest weapon out of all of these. Basically, you just attach a metal bar to a nightstick and sharpen it, and now you have this really cool looking weapon that deals the same damage as the scrap machete, so it's pretty decent. Unfortunately, it cannot attach to your belt because of some clipping issues that are going on, so it's one of those items that you just can't attach to anything, which can be really annoying when you're trying to swap different weapons, but it's got that coolness factor, and it's actually pretty decent. Also, nightsticks are really easy to come by, and if you want to play more of a bladed game, then you can use this one, and it's like really cool. And also, you only need metalworking level 2 to make one. So we're gonna put this one into B tier. Just the fact that you can't attach it is really annoying, but it's pretty much the coolest weapon out of all of them. With level 5 metalworking, you also can make a salvage climbing axe, which is really cool weapon because the same as the crowbar, it's really good for busting down doors. Unfortunately, it does not do as much damage, and it has a slightly lower reach, so I'm gonna rank it a bit lower. But it's still a really cool weapon. It does take quite a lot of resources and skill to actually be able to make it, but it's, you know, pretty decent, and the fact that you can destroy doors with it, hey, it's awesome. We're gonna put it out here in the B tier. Next, we have the Salvage pipe wrench. This is actually an axe type of weapon. These are all still one-handed. We're still just with one-handed weapons over here. And the cool thing about this one is you can actually chop trees down with it. Now, you can look at it kind of like a one-handed axe, so you're not gonna be able to chop down as many trees, but you can still, you know, you can get some. It's unfortunately not that easy to make. It's metalworking level 3, so it's not that skill issue, but you know, if you can't really get any axes, you can make these bad boys if you have some wrenches. It's not really that good for fighting, but for chopping trees, hey, you know, that makes it useful. We're gonna put it out here in the C tier. Then with level 4 metalworking, you can make the tire iron axe, which is pretty much the same as the wrench axe, but it's probably got, I can't really tell from just testing this in gameplay, I think it has a bit longer reach. It also can chop down trees, so you know, it's pretty cool in that regard. It does take another level in metalworking to actually be able to make it, so I think it still goes down here in the C tier, kind of like a one-handed axe type of deal as well, but it's okay. It's okay weapon. Another axe that you can make is pipe with scissors. So basically just attach scissors to a pipe. It's really easy to make. You don't even need a magazine, you don't need any metalworking skill. It's really easy to make, but unfortunately it's gonna break pretty fast. It's not very good damage wise. You're probably much better just using pipe as a weapon, but if you really want to level up some X skill, then you can do that. you can't chop trees down with it, even though it counts as an axe. It's not really the best weapon. We're gonna put it down here in the D tier, but it's at least easy to make. Now we get to the last one-handed weapon on the list. It is still an axe. It's scrap pickaxe, and this one is actually really easy to make. You actually need carpentry level 1 to make this one. And when it comes to damage, it deals less damage than the tire iron axe or the pipe wrench axe, but it is lighter, so you know, you have the faster swing with it, so that's kind of a useful thing for it. And the fact that it's really easy to make, it kind of makes it, you know, pretty useful if you're going the carpenter way. But you know, it's not really going to be able to compare to any of the higher level items, so for that we're going to put it out here in the C tier as well. Now we get to the two-handed weapons, and the first on the list is a big scrap axe, basically an upgrade on the previous scrap axe. You do need carpentry level 2 for this one. It's basically a bigger version, but it's only slightly heavier than the tire iron axe and all these guys, but it deals a lot more damage, so in that regard it is actually better. Now, but because it's only slightly heavier, you're not really gonna get tired that much faster swinging it, and you know, you're gonna be doing some pretty good damage. So I think I do like two-handed weapons probably more than the one-handed weapons when it comes to damage dealing, so this one is really useful. We're gonna put it out here in the B tier. And there's a third version of the scrap pickaxe, and this one is the huge scrap pickaxe. Now, in my opinion, this one is a downgrade. While it does have huge damage, full damage, it is a sledgehammer heavy type of axe, which means it's gonna swing really slow. Now, if you hit a zombie with it, it's most likely gonna kill it in one shot. But you're gonna tire really fast, and it's, you know, when you're exerted, you won't even be able to use it. So that type of weapons are, in my opinion, a trap, and quite a lot of these ones over here that are coming are that type of weapons, very heavy. Now you do need metal working for this one because you need salvage pipes to make it, so you do need that instead of carpentry. And just the fact that it's so heavy that if you're fighting one zombie, then yes, it can be good. If you're fighting multiple zombies, this is not a good weapon. So because of that, we're gonna put it down here in the D tier. Next, we have the Sharpened stop sign. This is still an axe weapon, and this is still a very heavy weapon that is kind of sledgehammer-like slow, but it is slightly lighter, which means it is slightly faster to swing it, and of course it deals a lot of damage. So with this one, you'll be able to chop down a lot more zombies, but it will still tire you pretty fast, and because of that, it's just not that good. It is very simple to make, and you only need level 1 metal working to actually make it, so it does have that bonus for it. But still, in my opinion, you're better off using any of the lighter weapons and attacking with that. Unless you really have to kill just like 3 zombies, then you're really good with this one, because you're just gonna one-shot them all. So we're gonna put it out here in somewhere in the middle of C tier. Next we get to the upgraded baseball bats. You have 3 versions of this one. You have upgrade with bolts, upgrade with chain, and upgrade with wire. They all do the same amount of damage, they all weigh the same amount of weight, and basically they're the same thing than just the basic spiked baseball bat that you can upgrade in vanilla. So it's just different materials. If you have them, you can upgrade your baseball bat, and you know, that makes it cool. And the good part is also you don't need any skill in metalworking. You don't need a magazine to make these. You can just upgrade them easily, and you know, for that it's got its good value. I'm gonna put it out here in the B tier. Now we get to probably my favorite weapon out of all of these. It's these salvage pipes. Basically, you need a lead pipe and you need a metal pipe, and then you can just combine them. You don't need any metalworking skill, but you do need a magazine to actually be able to do it. But once you get the magazine, you don't need any skill. You can just keep on making them, and we all know that those pipes are, you know, available all over the world. Now, it does slightly less damage than the upgraded baseball bats, but it is lighter, so it has faster swing, and it has also much longer reach. So if you're like a low-level metal worker and you do have that magazine, this thing, it's gonna be your main weapon for a long time, and I really like it. It's easy to make, and you know, it's just great. And for me, that is simply an A tier weapon. Next, we have really good weapon as well. This is a tin can club. It sounds really simple, and it's simple to make. You just need to attach a tin can to a club. You do need a couple more materials for that. You need level 2 metalworking, but it does a lot of damage. It's light, it has fast swing, it does have slightly shorter reach than the metal pipes. It's not as sturdy, it's not gonna last you as long as, let's say, a crowbar, but still, for how light it is and how much damage it does, it's a really good weapon, and it's really easy to make. You just need to get a metal bar, and you need to eat some canned food, and voila, you have the materials. And for that, it deserves to be our first S tier weapon. And you know who else is S tier? My subscribers. So subscribe now and I'll probably not rank you. Moving on, next we have the gear mace. This is another of those very heavy sledgehammer type weapons that it's very slow to swing, it's gonna tire you, and it takes level 6 metalworking to make it, and you need some really expensive materials that are better used anywhere else, like the spare engine parts to actually make this one. It's better to use those to repair your car, but it does have a slight bonus that is gonna boost it up. Don't use this as a weapon, but you can actually use this one as a sledgehammer. So if you're unlucky and you can't find a sledgehammer, you can actually make one for yourself at level 6. So, you know, that gives it a big bonus, and because of that, I'm gonna put it out here in the C tier. Next on the list is Micro Maul. This one is basically a microwave on a stick. It's a huge comical looking weapon. It's very heavy. It does a lot of damage, but if you swing it, it's gonna be very slow swing. It will one-shot zombies, but you're gonna get tired really fast, and if you're fighting more than one, they're gonna swarm you and you won't be able to do much. So unfortunately, this one can't really go high, so we're gonna put it down here in the D tier. Next on the list is Salvage Warhammer. Basically the same as we did earlier with the gear mace. This one is also very heavy, very slow, all that kind of stuff, but can be used as a sledgehammer instead. All you need is to attach dumbbells to a pipe or something like that, and you need metalworking level 6 to make it. It's not really useful as a weapon, but you can use it as a sledgehammer, so there you go. We can put it out here in the C tier as well for that. Now we get to the long blade weapons, and some of these really do shine. These are all pretty good weapons, but are also pretty hard and expensive to make. So first we have the Scrap Sword. Scrap Sword is slightly heavier than the base game katana. It of course does less damage. It has slightly slower swing, but it does have slightly longer reach. So, you know, it has that as a bonus. You do need level 5 metalworking and quite a lot of materials to make it, but once you be able to make it, it's actually pretty decent. It's not that sturdy either, but none of the long blade weapons, even in vanilla, are very sturdy. Still a pretty great weapon. We're gonna put it out here in the B tier. Now at level 2 metalworking, actually, you can make a scrap blade, which is basically a homemade katana. It is the same weight as a basic katana, but does a lot less damage. It's also not gonna last you too long, but you can make it at level 2 actually already. So, you know, that is a big bonus. It also has a bit shorter reach, so it's definitely not nearly as good as a katana, but since it's pretty simple to make, and if you want to play with bladed weapons, then it can be really cool. We're gonna put it out here in the B tier around the Scrap Sword. Next we have the Salvage Blade. This is basically a homemade katana. It is actually lighter, it deals the same-ish damage, it has longer reach, so it is actually really great, and you only need metalworking level 4, unlike the sword that you need actually level 5. It makes it a great weapon if you want to use it. It's of course not too sturdy, as I said before, long blade weapons usually are not, but it's just amazing how much damage it does and what reach it has. It's awesome to use, and if you can make it, hey, it's definitely an S tier weapon. And then the last of the long blades, we have the Salvage Cleaver. This is a giant anime type weapon that deals a huge amount of damage, but it is heavy. It's sledgehammer heavy, so it's gonna be very slow swing. It's kind of like Sharpened stop sign. I think it is slightly lighter than that one as well, so it's not gonna be as slow as some of the big maces, but still it is gonna tire you out if you use it. It's definitely gonna one-shot zombies around you, but if you're fighting more than just one or two, then you're definitely much better off using any other weapons and not this heavy thing. So for that, I can't really give it a high level. We're gonna put it out here in the C tier. Next, we get to the spears. First, we have the scrap spear. This one is heavier than the basic spear that you can make, but it is lighter than most of the upgraded spears. So if you upgrade vanilla spear with, let's say, a machete or any other blades, it's gonna be much heavier. That has been an update months ago now that it made it so. Now this one has the damage of a machete upgraded spear almost, and it's much lighter. So you'll be able to swing faster, you'll be able to swing it for longer, and it just makes it an amazing weapon. Now spears do have that problem. If you don't have high maintenance and high spear level, they're gonna break pretty fast, which means you might waste a lot of resources. So maybe use basic spears to train first and then switch to better spears that are made like this. But still, it's an amazing weapon. We're gonna put it out here in the A tier. And then at level 4 metalworking, you can make the salvage spear, which is just an upgraded thing. It's got the same weight, it has full damage, it's much more sturdy. This one is gonna allow you to slay hordes of zombies, and it's just an awesome weapon. This is a great spear. It definitely deserves to be up here in the S tier because it's just great. It's just a great weapon, and you should give it a go if you can actually make it. Last, we have the upgraded spear. There are 3 new versions of upgraded spears. We have the scrap shiv and sharpened screwdriver, which are not that great, but they are pretty decent because with the upgrades in vanilla, the spears are gonna get heavier, but with upgrades here, the spear is not gonna get heavier. It's gonna retain the same weight, and it's just gonna be awesome because of that. You know, you'll be able to swing it for longer without actually tiring out. Now, the best version is the upgrade with the scrap machete. As I said before, this is what makes scrap machete also a great weapon, just so much better because of that. It deals a ton of damage, and it's light. It's basically almost as much damage as if you upgrade a spear with a vanilla type machete, but this one is less than half of its weight, and that's what pretty makes it great, because once again, you're not gonna get as tired swinging it, and it's just awesome. So for that, it definitely deserves to be up here in the A tier as well. And there you have it. I have ranked all the scrap weapons. Let me know, what do you think about these? What do you think about the S tiers? What do you think about the F tiers? What would you put up there? What would you put down below? And keep an eye out on next ranking. Next, we're gonna rank all the scrap guns. Thank you for watching.